All right, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? This is Richard Taylor, and I'm back with another story from Taylor House Publishing. Today we have another story out of Texas. In this town, it is the little town of Paris, Texas. Now, Paris, Texas is a town of a population of roughly around 26,000 people. The demographics of Paris is about 66% white and about 22% black, and a few other mixed races spurned out throughout the other, 10 or 12%. But this situation concerns the burning down of a black church in Paris, Texas. Now, we all know about the church in, I think it was Birmingham, Alabama, that got bombed when four little girls were expired. But this happened in 2024 on September the 29th. It was on September the 29th that the Love Tabernacle Church in Paris, Texas was scorched by fire to the ground. It was a total loss, and the parishioners now have to worship at another location in Cooper, Texas. But the main thing about this is before the church was burned down, there were racial slurs placed on the building. And if you see these slurs right here, they've been marked out. But as you see, they read, "We hate N-words and leave town N-words." And so this happened once again on September the 29th, 2024. So we must ask ourselves, once again, are we really going to act like America is not still suffering from this past? So I'm going to let you see the news video as well as a couple of articles, but also want to dive into the history of Paris, Texas, and let you know why these things are still occurring that occurred back in the 18th and 19th centuries. So once again, I thank y'all for tuning in. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the video. And also, once again, most praise and honor goes to the Most High God, because once again, without him, we wouldn't be here. But stay tuned after this commercial break, and we're going to get right into the story.
From local stories to Wayne County news, get ready to dive into everything happening in North Carolina with Taylor House Publishing. Got a story to share? Shoot us an email at taylorpublishinghouse@gmail.com. If you're looking to publish your book or need some top-notch mentorship, we've got your back. Join the excitement with the one and only Richard Taylor, right here at Taylor House Publishing. Speak with Richard directly at 919-587-7782. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and invite your family and friends to watch.
From Wayne County to the Carolina coast, Taylor House brings the news you love most. Tune in on YouTube, don't miss a beat. Local stories that keep you on your feet.
Taylor House, we got the school.
Taylor House Publishing.
Jeff Eliasoff.
And I'm Caroline Fletcher. A church in Paris was reduced to rubble by a fire over the weekend. This was after racist graffiti was sprayed onto the building.
News 12's Olivia Thompson spoke with a local civil rights activist about the incident and brings us the latest on the investigation.
I've been doing this for over 20 years, and things don't get better because they're not addressed. They're glossed over.
Late Sunday night, the Paris Fire Department arrived to the corner of 13th and Center Street. The Love Chapel Church of God in Christ was burning to the ground.
I've not known of a black church being burned before, not in this era. But racist graffiti, that's a common thing.
This racist graffiti was two slurs indicating hatred.
It's where people go to worship. Nobody comes here to do anything wrong. So why would anyone burn down a church, write racist graffiti on a church. You don't do that.
Paris Police Captain Terry Bull right now says this is not being investigated by the police department and is solely a fire investigation.
The Texas State Fire Marshal was also notified due to the building being a church and the presence of graffiti. Cherry says that local leaders can play a big part in the problem or the solution.
City officials, they need to address stuff like this, not be afraid that it's going to lead to racial tension, because we already have that.
No one was injured, and the state and city fire marshal are now investigating. The pastor of the church, Tristan Love, says the ministry has been at this location since 2021 and that worship services will continue in Cooper, Texas until further notice. In Paris, Olivia Thompson, News 12.
All right, there you have the news article or the news video giving you some of the details about that incident. And something very disturbing stuck out to me. When they said that the police are not investigating. It is being investigated by the local and state fire marshals. So they are not even treating this as a crime in this small town of Paris, Texas. Now that is part of the problem. That shows you possibly who did it. The police are not even investigating this as a crime. Now we all saw the words that were blocked out in those pictures. Those are words of hate. And arson is a crime. Hence, H, crime. H, crime. This department, Captain Tony Bull, what a name, right? The name is very fitting right now. Tony Bull says that this is not a police matter. It is being investigated by the local and state fire marshals. And the activist, Miss Brenda Cherry, which you're going to see her in a couple of more articles, says something as well. Like, she said, well, I haven't seen a church burn down, but racist graffiti, yeah, that's, that happens all the time, And she mentioned a lot of these things are glossed over. That's why nobody ever has a chance to address them. And I think this situation right here, once again, mirrors what we are seeing all over the states right now. Of course, we know about the Javion McGee situation where apparently we believe that somebody unalived him and there's a intricate cover-up by people who's in the town. This same town of 26,000 people may be that same way. Somebody knows who did it. Now, mind you, it is at 11:15 p.m. on a Sunday night when this was done. After the morning of the people going back there to worship. And as we see the history of this town and past history, like hundreds of years ago, and recent history, you're going to realize that these spirits, this evil, this mindset, these ideologies don't go anywhere with time. Just look at this information from this article on website. And this is Wikipedia. It's given the history of Paris. It says in the late 19th and early 20th centuries, several lynchings were staged at the Paris fairgrounds as public spectacles with crowds of white spectators cheering as the African-American victors were being tortured and unalived. A black teenager named Henry Smith was lynched in 1893. His was the first lynching in U.S. history that was captured in photographs, sold as postcards and other trinkets commemorating the killing. Artist, journalist Ida B. Wells said of the incident, never in the history of civilization has any Christian people stooped to such shocking brutality and indescribable barbarism as that which the people of Paris, Texas. Now, this was, 100 or so years ago. But mind you, that spirit, that energy does not go anywhere, especially if it has gone unchecked. Do you hear what they said? Spectators, crowds of spectators cheering as, the victims, they said it was at the fairgrounds. Like we have the state fair right here in North Carolina. They had the whole fairgrounds as a family spectacles, and even worse, they took pictures and made postcards. Like everybody's with it, and kept trinkets. You know what those trinkets were, right? You know what they used to do to black men when they used to suspend them in the air from trees and things like that? They would cut off their most intimate parts and send them around to their friends. Sick, as the journalist Ida B. Wells said. Sick. July 7th, 1920, Irving and Herman Arthur were burned alive at the fairgrounds before a crowd of 3,000 people. Their charred bodies were dragged by a convoy of shouting white terrorists through Paris's African-American neighborhood as a warning to the black community. Once again, this is 100 years ago. Crowd of 3,000 people, once again cheering the outright unalivement of innocent black people, and then dragging their bodies throughout town to scare them, just like they did back in the slavery days. They would take the biggest, strongest buck, they would tie 4 horses to each of his limbs, clap, and then the horse would scatter and pull the man apart, and they would do that in front of the entire slave population to make them scared. Is this what we're seeing in our city of Henderson with the Javion McGee case? Are a lot of have people seen instances so horrible that they are scared to speak up? Even in modern times, now this is 2008, Brandon McClellan was run over and dragged to his demise under a vehicle. 2 white men were arrested, but the prosecutor cited lack of evidence and declined to press charges, and no serious subsequent attempt to find other perpetrators was made. Following this incident, an attempt by the United States Department of Justice Community Relations Service to initiate a dialogue between the races in town ended in failure when African American complaints were mostly met by silent glares from white community members. What they meant was, okay, this black man was once again drugged. What is it with them and dragging us, right? Well, he was drugged through the streets. The Department of Justice came in and said, hey, let's initiate a dialogue. No, arrest and prevent these people from doing that. I mean, they said it failed because when black people complained, only thing they did was look at them like they were crazy. That's what it is. And like even now, look at this disparity, right? 2009 protest rally led state police from stopping them to coming to blows. The activist Brenda Cherry, who you just saw in the news article, said that they were stuck in the 1930s. And this is an example right here of judicial injustice, right? They said in 2007, a 14-year-old African-American girl was sentenced by a local judge to up to 7 years in a youth prison. That's all they can get because they got to be let go after 21 for shoving a hall monitor in Paris High School. And best believe me, that hall monitor was probably Caucasian. And then 3 months later, the same judge sentenced a 14-year-old white girl to probation for arson. Once again, you can't make this up. These things are still happening now. So when I tell people about injustices in the courthouse, please believe me, this is just an example. Now, and it goes on to talk about some other disparities in the town. Now, most importantly, this right here, this other article deals with some injustices in the workplace. Now, these people evidently own the majority of the businesses, and this article talks about a lot of individuals enduring racism at the workplace, discrimination, graffiti. One gentleman said that they wrote KKK on his jacket. Being told where to sit at in the lunchroom, people calling them boy, in the bathroom. Total not getting paid as much as the starting rate for other races. All of these things were the catalyst for a lawsuit. And as I mentioned, you see this article, it said the Paris, however, has a more notorious side with a history of racial strife dating back to high-profile lynching-style executions in the 1800s and the 1920s, late 1800s and 1920s. Now, once again, this is still prevalent. Now, these complaints were filed with the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, and they received a large stream of workplace discriminatory allegations against some of the city's biggest employers, including an African-American male alleged that KKK was written on his jacket and a swastika drawn on his apron with a black marker. Another worker has alleged a pattern and practice of continued discrimination, with black employees earning up to 3 times less than white employees for doing the same tasks. Paris Mayor Arjumand Hashmi, a doctor and a Muslim, discounted the claims of ongoing racism. Now, this is where you have to be careful with, this man is obviously a foreigner, and he's going to speak up for the people who are oppressing these people. He said it can't be all that bad, because if it was all that bad, 65% of people wouldn't have elected me to become mayor of the city. 65% of the people, right? Who are that 65%? The white people, probably. So he's making it personal. Do you see how silly that sounds? When told about active discrimination complaints against some of the city's biggest employers in town, Dr. Hashmi said he respected each side's right to disagree. He's calling it a disagreement, not discrimination. And look at his answers. Yes, there are issues, but you know something? What I like to say is we live in a free country. We have a right, and one should be able to express their rights. These are not rights. These are imposition. This is oppression. This is suppression. This is outright attack. See, you wonder why people feel like they can burn down this church. It is because of this mayor right here. And talking about, he has worked hard to embrace the minority community, especially in the wake of recent national strife. Now remember, this is 2016 when all of the other killings were going on. Brenda Cherry, a long time, once again, here's Miss Cherry again, said she has met with Dr. Hashmi, but said her concerns continue. The first step is to listen and to acknowledge that there's a problem, then come up with a plan. But it's hard to come up with a solution when you say there is no problem. Exactly what this man is doing. Joseph Finch said he failed to see changes at Turner Industries, and they were hit with a $4 million verdict for employee demonstration and workplace conditions. And this is the guy who apparently had, the KKK written on his jacket, and there you see it. He reported it to a hotline, and within weeks of reporting the incident, he was laid off. Now, that's another reason that we see people fearful of speaking up, speaking out, standing up for what's right, because they're in danger of losing income, positions, comfortability. And that is once again the problem. As you heard my brother who said that he saw Javion McGee got beat up. What'd he say? Man, listen, man, I'm trying to run a business. Like, you can't run a business anywhere else. Like, but this is the problem. And, my brother stuck to his guns. They said that they have found him and 8 other Turner Industries employees filed federal complaints. When contacted about the allegations, John Finner, and general counsel for Turner Industries, said his company was unaware of Finch's particular complaint. You hear that? The particular complaint. Not unaware of the complaints, but unaware of this particular complaint. And he said Turner Industries is an equal opportunity employer and has a strict policy prohibiting all acts of discrimination, harassment, and retaliation against our employees. We take all such complaints, conduct seriously, and properly investigate them. Well, civil rights attorney James Vagnini and JLOR said Finch's allegations are similar to prior complaints at Turner. They took Turner to court in 2012, 4 years earlier. He said there's a $4 million verdict saying that this is wrong, and yet the companies continue to fight. They continue to not change. They continue to hire back the same people who were charged with committing these acts. Be a corporation and act responsibly and change. Once again, another company, the Kimberly-Clark plant. Once again, one of some of these factory jobs in those small towns, said that, several dozen African Americans have filed a complaint with that plant. Being told where you can't sit. I've heard the boy word in the bathroom. Mathis said he lost his job as a hand packer for standing up for a co-worker in the face of racial hatred. A racially hostile work environment in which temporary hiring company conclude to create a sustained workplace that lacks equal opportunity for black employees. The complaint alleged white employees had a much higher starting pay rate. Vagnini said he was able to report a settlement has been reached with Kimberly-Clark about the complaint. So, and that's just one article. There are several articles that detail the history of racial unrest. And it's normally only coming from one side. But what we see in these small towns of Paris, you have a minority African American population who are forced to work for these companies like Turner and Kimberly-Clark. So therefore, they are forced to endure, and they almost get used to it. Program, socially engineered to get used to that type of treatment and behavior. And then when something like this church happens that gets burned up, the police don't investigate it as a H crime. They call in the local and state fire marshals and say, yeah, this is not a police matter. How can you not make that a police matter? And this is once again in 2024. This ain't 1963 Birmingham, Alabama, and 4 little colored girls as the movie suggests. This is right now, man. And for the mayor of that town to say, well, yeah, it's not that bad. 65% of the people voted me to be mayor. It's not even about you being mayor. It's about the discrimination that people are facing. So this story came across, my correspondences, and I wanted to just highlight it because, once again, this is a church, right? And as the lady said, we're supposed to be able to worship, in peace. But I don't know if y'all remember, but, the KKK was listed as a Christian organization. And so I don't have any doubt in my mind. You saw the words that was written on that church before it was being burned. How could they not? Like, it's almost like they're playing with us with my brother Javion McGee. How can you not see that this is a crime? Oh, well, nah, it's been, that is total complicit of the action. That's total complicity, cooperation of the actions. But y'all, once again, be aware, this is one of the several stories that we have coming out of Texas. Very within the last couple of months. So for those people in Texas, y'all feel free to call 919-587-7782. This definitely screams of a possible H crime and definitely needs to be investigated as such. Now, mind you, this article is from October the 1st. So here it is, October the 26th, and I can find nothing else about it. So you guys tell me what you think. I might even reach out to my man, the Love Tabernacle Church, and see what his perception of it is. But I think I saw him speaking somewhere, and he was pretty much turning the other cheek or accepting it as whatever it was. But we have to do something, as the lady said, not glossing it over, not ignoring it, but addressing it and realizing that something has to change. Once again, thank y'all for tuning in. 919-587-7782. Peace and love. Y'all have a blessed day.
Right here at Taylor House Publishing. Speak with Richard directly at 919-587-7782. Don't forget to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and invite your family and friends to watch.
From Wayne County to the Carolina coast, Taylor House bring the news you love most. Tune in on YouTube, don't miss a beat. Local stories that keep you in your feet.
Taylor House, we got the scoop.
Taylor House Publishing.